Guys, my guppies have started to breed. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can breed them at home, and I'm also going to show off my guppy breeding tank and talk about my fish room as a whole and some plans I have for the future. So I guess before I give you the explainer on how you guys can breed some guppies, I'm going to show off my 20-gallon aquarium. This is a 20-gallon long, and I've had it for about 3 years. Ever since I started keeping fish, I bought this aquarium, and it's been my absolute favorite. Now, when you are deciding to breed guppies, I do recommend having an aquarium bigger than 5 gallons, possibly in the 10 to 20-gallon range. I'd honestly go with the 20-gallon tank because they breed so fast that after a couple months you'll probably be outgrowing that aquarium. So it's kind of crazy how fast they breed. So yeah, the bigger the better. Why not? So in my 20-gallon aquarium, personally I just have my guppies in here. I do also have a couple different types of snails. I have mystery snails, bladder snails, some Malaysian trumpet snails, and of course some mystery snails, one of my favorite types of snails. And they're just chilling out in this aquarium. I don't have any other fish, which is great because some other fish might go after the baby guppies, and the less fish you have in there, the better. And when I set this aquarium up, I wasn't really planning on breeding guppies, but it just happened, and I didn't decide to like move them around or separate them. So yeah, that's what's happening in this aquarium, and I'm completely fine with it, and I'll talk more about that in a couple of seconds. So for this aquarium, the plants that I have a lot of dorsag, but I also have a huge amount of guppy grass. There is an entire large, like here, these are tweezers for aquariums, but let me try showing you how much I have in here. Like, I just have so many clumps that is just full of guppy grass. If you do not know what guppy grass is, basically it's a very fast growing plant. Just like guppies, they're fast at breeding and this plant is fast at growing, but guppy grass is a great plant for breeding any fish just because it spreads out and it can cover up an entire aquarium and it'll protect the baby fish from other predators or any other bigger fish. So it's really nice, but it doesn't really look the best in aquariums. Sometimes it can look good, but once it grows and takes over the entire aquarium, it's kind of annoying. Unless, of course, your only purpose is breeding, but in this aquarium, I'm planning on aquascaping it soon, so I most likely remove this guppy grass and move it to a different tank. I do also have some algae blooms at the bottom. It is starting to die off, which is good, and I'm going to come in with the siphon in the next couple days and just clear it all out. But I also do have some moss balls, and yeah. I used to have some Java fern moss, but I think most of it died, unfortunately, just because there is a lot of duckweed on the surface, and that's kind of blocked the light. But yeah, I'm planning on also clearing up a lot of this duckweed, but future things, you know? So for this aquarium, I have one of the best filters I've ever found. This is the Marina Slim filter, and this thing is absolutely a beast. It's a very slim filter, which fits great on the nice long 20-gallon aquarium, and the water flow is very good. One thing that you absolutely have to have if you're planning on breeding guppies or basically anything is it has a pre-intake sponge. So what that means is in front of the input where the water goes into the filter, there's a piece of sponge that protects it. This prevents it from sucking up any of the guppies into the filter and killing them. So it's a very important feature that you should have, but of course if you don't have that, you can always go with the sponge filter, and that's a very good replacement if you don't have a hang-on back. So yeah, those are very important, and I do also have a heater in this aquarium, and I actually have like the perfect temperature for breeding ramhorn snails in this aquarium. If you guys don't know, I have an online store, but this is where I breed most of my ramhorn snails, and I have like the exact perfect temperature. It's taken years to find it, but I measure the temperature almost daily, and it's like a perfect amount. Another cool thing about pre-intake sponges is there's things that can live off of it. So in some of my older aquariums, I remember some plants would start growing in there and like guppy grass and stuff, but on this tank apparently there's just a huge amount of moss, and I can currently see right now that there are some guppies picking on the moss, and they absolutely love it, and there's little microorganisms that baby guppies can eat, and also shrimp, and that's just perfect for them because they might not be interested in flake food yet, and we'll talk about that in a second. But before we do, at the end of this video, I'll have a link where you can check out my vlog channel. I actually did a tour of the entire fish room and my basement as a whole, so if you're interested in that, stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll have a link where you can check that out on my vlog channel. That'd be awesome, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about food. So for feeding, there are companies like Aquarium Co-op that sell pre-made baby flake food, and what it is it's like ground up powder, and it's really high in protein and other special things that these guys need while they're growing up and developing, which is really great, but it tends to be a little bit more expensive. So the cheap version of that is using basic aquarium flakes. Let me show you what I mean. So I feed my baby guppies the exact food that I feed every single fish in my aquarium. Like my massive angelfish, I feed them the same food. So basically what I do is with flakes, I get some of the small flakes, and with my fingers, all you have to do is just kind of twist it. Like this, and you can see, I don't know if you can see. but there are tiny flakes that come down, and this is what guppies absolutely love. And it's really cool because when it's on the surface, since they're such fine particles, they actually spread the water out in the surface area, so it's really great for guppies, especially when they're babies and they're feeding, so predators or bigger fish don't come after and kill them. So yeah, you don't need to go out and buy some expensive baby guppy food. You can just use simple flakes, and they're awesome. They absolutely love them, and while they're growing up, they'll be raised on the same food, and if you get some specialty flakes that are good at color enhancing, it'll be great for them as well. So one thing that I've noticed about breeding guppies is that they breed so fast. Like a crazy, really fast amount, and that kind of leads me to my next topic, which is why you even want to breed them in the first place. So some people just decide to breed them because they kind of want to try something different in the aquarium hobby, and I personally love breeding fish. I bred Coreodoras before, and they are so much fun. So yeah, that might be the reason that you want to do it. Another reason is you might have a big tank, like a 60-gallon, and you just want to breed and have this aquarium filled with different fish. That could be a reason, or you plan on selling them to your pet store, or possibly online, and that's also the solution. For me, in my case, I don't really know why I'm even breeding them. I don't have like a complete like reason, but I just added them to this aquarium. I mean, I knew they would try breeding, which is kind of cool, but like I'm not planning on selling them at all. I mean, possibly I might put some in my 60-gallon once I get this tank planted up and it's a lot better, but until then, yeah, I'm just keeping them in here, letting them breed. And that kind of leads me to the topic of culling, which is the euthanization of fish or other animals and stuff, which is kind of sad, but at the same time, I also do understand it. So the reason that you would want to euthanize a fish or shrimp or anything is if they are genetically inferior to the other fish. So possibly if they grew up with a genetic disability where possibly their fins are a little crooked, or their spinal cord, which is very common in guppies, or if the shrimps have different colors and it's kind of messing up the bloodline or the genetics of that type of fish. So this is very important with breeders and people that are selling high quality fish, because they need to either keep up that standard, but they also need to prevent other future generations from having those problems, because it would be very bad for fish to keep breeding if they have a spinal issue, because that could just affect so many different generations of fish later down the road. So a lot of people do decide to cull them. In my case, I'm not planning on selling them at all, and I'm not planning on breeding them on massive scales or letting them out anywhere, so that's why I personally am not culling them. I haven't really noticed any major deformities in any of my fish. Sometimes I'll see one with smaller fins than usual, but while they're growing up, they may be killed by some of their other fellow guppies. I'm just letting nature play its course and kind of sitting from the side watching, and hopefully they make it, but I'm not gonna step in and possibly kill the fish or euthanize them. But I do understand both sides, why people wouldn't want them to be euthanized, and I do understand the breeder's perspective where they should euthanize them. So it's kind of a touchy topic, and if you have a strong opinion about this, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I love to have back and forth with the viewers. Hopefully I didn't like step on anyone's toes with that topic, but yeah. Now after hearing all of that, you may want to breed these guppies, and let me talk about how you can do this, and it's such an easy process and really awesome. I might even make a separate video just completely about breeding, the proper temperatures, the proper timelines and stuff, but I'm just going to give you a rough general idea. So when you're at the store, you'll usually find aquariums, one labeled fancy guppies or male guppies and one labeled female guppies. So the difference between those is males tend to have a lot bigger fins and also more colors. They do this to try enticing the female to breed with them, and the females tend to not be as beautiful as the men. I did not think I'd be describing fish as beautiful like that, but they are. No joke. So that's why you'll notice a lot of guppies having fancy fins, and that's usually the males. But pet stores usually separate the two just because they don't want them to breed in their aquariums at the pet stores, and that's when you can pick them out. Now let me just say, my strain of guppies is not the fanciest. I've seen some crazy, they have dumper-eared guppies and they're so awesome, but in my case, I'm not really breeding for fanciness. I may plan on doing it in the future, but maybe, I don't know. There's also a couple other ways that you can tell the difference between a male and a female. The female has a more fan-shaped anal fin, and the male has like more... Did you see that? The aquarium turned off. I'm filming this video at night. There we go. So yeah, the male has a different shaped fin, and that's an easy way to tell. You can usually tell within a couple seconds of looking at them. It's a little harder when they're babies, but as they get older and they become more of an adult, it's easier to tell. Again, also color variations do help, but some females can be very colorful. So when you're picking your guppies out at the store, I really recommend having about 3 females to every 1 male. The reason of this is that the males try to breed as fast as possible, and if you had 1 male and 1 female, and the male tries breeding with this female, and the female becomes pregnant, she's already being stressed because she's carrying babies and she needs to eat more. And if the male keeps annoying her trying to breed again and she's already pregnant, that can be very bad for the female. So that's why you want to have a couple females so the male can have different options. That's a very easy way to breed them and not have to worry about the female possibly dying because of the stress. Some people recommend at least 2, and my minimum would absolutely be 2, but preferably 3. I recommend possibly starting, if you're doing this brand new, is having 2 males to 6 females. And you'll definitely have some baby guppies within about 30 days. And they breed really, really fast, and I've already noticed that my baby fish have already started to breed, and I have like grandchildren basically, which is weird to talk about. But it's fine. I've actually noticed 2 sets of baby guppies, and I've also noticed some of the females are already pregnant again. So these guys are breeding like crazy, and in a couple weeks I'll probably have to do an update and show you guys how many babies we have. And with this guppy grass, it's like a hiding place, so they don't have to worry about being attacked by their parents. And that's another thing. So guppies are live bearers, which means that they don't lay eggs. Basically, they give birth to free swimming fish, and the adults can actually try killing their baby fish just for food. So you want to make sure you have hiding spots, and that's why guppy grass is such an important fact to have in your aquarium. Now, if you like learning how to breed guppies and you're maybe interested in learning other fancy things, you might want to check out Skillshare down below. With my link, you get 2 free months on Skillshare, and you can also check out some of my courses. I've been working on a couple new ones. So if you're interested in learning other things other than aquariums, you get 2 months for free down below with my link, so check it out at the end of this video. Also, another thing I've noticed is like during quarantine, I've done so many different things to my aquariums. Like, I'll show you guys in a second, and I'll also talk about some of the plans, but like my aquariums have been not only cleaner, but I've also had more ideas on what to do with my aquariums. So one thing in particular that I have done recently, you might have noticed this entire video, but there's a huge piece of wood sticking out of this aquarium. So I actually had this in my 150-gallon aquarium, which ironically was in the same position where these aquariums are now today. But yeah, I did decide to add this wood. It's just been sitting out for a long time, and I decided to add it to this aquarium. And you may notice how it sticks out. So I did this on purpose. I definitely could have added this wood to my 90-gallon or my 60-gallon, and it would have completely been submerged. But I wanted to have kind of something out of the water. I think it looks absolutely beautiful, and I'm planning on rescaping this entire aquarium and having some nice carpeting plants, getting rid of a lot of the guppy grass and the other floating plants and stuff, so there's a lot more light in this aquarium. And I am planning on adding some java moss to the side of the driftwood, and at the surface, since the light doesn't go all the way, what I am planning on doing is adding some fake moss to the surface just so there's some green on top of it, and I think that would look so dope. I'm going to also be adding some new rocks and some other cool aquascaping things just so this aquarium is A1. Because if you remember what this aquarium used to look like, it had like lava rock and other things, and it used to look really nice, but over the years and months, it's kind of gone a little bit worse. So now let's talk about another thing. My 10 gallons. So you might remember my 10 gallons that I aquascaped in a previous video, but I do have some exciting plans. Mainly with this aquarium, what I am planning on doing is I have a separate, like, I have a secret side project that I can't really tell you about in this video, but I'm going to make a whole video about it in the near future. So look out for that. But for that side project, I will be adding my betta fish into that side project. And I'm going to be draining this aquarium completely, and I'm planning on drying it out and then adding new plants. I'm also going to be removing the snails and a couple of the crystal shrimp that are still in this aquarium. And that's going to be a completely empty new place for me to aquascape. And I'm super excited for that in the future. I tried doing a combined aquarium, but I didn't really like the way it turned out. I possibly may also have the ability to get another betta fish if I keep the other one in that secret project that I can't, like, shh, we can't talk about that. So yeah, with a new aquascape, a new betta fish, maybe some new shrimp, I think it's going to be so dope. And I was also thinking about making a DIY filter for this aquarium, which would be so cool. It's kind of DIY, but it's going to be really cool. It's going to basically combine one filter to flow and circulate water in 2 aquariums. So look out for that video very soon. It's going to be pretty awesome once I decide to re-aquascape this. But with all this time on my hands, like, of course I'm going to have time to do this. But that's about it for now that I can share with you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and again, check out my vlog video if you want to see the entire fish room, the entire areas like the TVs, the beanbag chair, the computer desk setup. Check all of that out in the video on the screen and also down below. But also, I kind of should talk about this. See the 60 gallon right here? This boy is getting a whole new makeover, and it is going to be maybe my best aquariums I've ever had. I mean, it is kind of difficult to compare a beautiful aquarium to this beautiful aquarium. But trust me, my plans are awesome. And I kind of want to give you a spoiler, because if you've been watching this video already this far, you are awesome, and big heart to you. But this aquarium may get more betta fish. If you remember, this is a 3 betta fish sorority, but I'm planning on adding a whole new amount of plants, and I'm planning on adding a whole lot of female betta fish, So look out for that video coming up, and I'll also add some of my surplus of guppies into this aquarium. So that's going to be something super exciting, and with all this time, I have to do it. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I never ask for the notification bell, but it's very important to stay up to date on the channel and all the other things. So I love you guys so much. I hope you liked the video. Links down below, you know, the usual routine. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.